My name is Couchcoop and it's time to look at Black Myth Wukong again. During the production of this video, we had a minor story break about Sony and some help offered to the studios when this game was in development. We will get into it. I see it as a bit of a nothing burger. I wanted to talk about some of these mid-game bosses after the initial review, and I've done this with Armored Core 6 and the beautiful Stellar Blade, both of which I'll interlink. Wukong has a bit of a brick wall in it in the form of a giant tiger, talking tiger. Now the genius of this game, and it isn't too obvious to you all the time, is that some bosses have some optional side quests or side bosses in and around them. The tiger particularly has two, and they will help you with unlocking particular items. You might even be able to upgrade that staff, which costs a fortune, but you get loads of money from killing a minor boss. Seeing everything that this game has got to sling at you is my mission. It's going to take me quite a while, and I have not 100% completed it yet, so there may be a third part due. Don't be fooled into thinking that Wukong is just a whole bunch of boss fights slammed into one video game. There's loads of downtime in it. That was really covered in the original review, and a massive pleasant surprise for me. This does play like a Souls-like in areas, but it does have its unique angles. Let's briefly talk about that story, because I think the exact quote is loads of help. And the creative director and owner of the studio has mentioned that this wasn't any secret at all, and I see no issues with this. Why would Sony want this to fail? Why would they not prop it up with everything they had? You only got to look at Microsoft and the Redfall situation and the closing of Arcane Studios to see how badly wrong not supporting an exclusive game can go. Here's the tiger fight, and this is the result of about 3 weeks of muscle memory training, knowing what every single signal means from this guy. So I know what he's going to do and how he's going to do it, how hard he's going to hit, but the actual win itself was a damned fluke. He charges at you from a random direction at one point, and you have to unlock the focus, because you can't be facing him, you've just got to be getting out of the way. If you can see that little minute white health tab in the bottom left corner, you'll know how close to the wire this went. And yes, we are treated to another classic from Headless. And talking of that NPC, what an amazing turn of events when you find out who he is. The rock, stone, or impenetrable power, I think I may have oversold to myself a little bit in my head, as it took me 2 weeks to unlock it, but it's well cool. Essentially it's a full-on clang rebound. If something tries to hit you, but it doesn't replenish that quick, and it does take a little bit of upgrading, but again, it's great to have it on your arsenal to take to the next boss, which I would pitch, okay, nearly as tough as Tony the frickin' Tiger. But they also have an alternative angle where you can go and fight that giant insect together, and then he cannot spawn it in on you, and you also get this wind charm thing prior, so you are kitted out for this dude. But again, it's a very difficult fight. There's sections where he disappears, comes in at random directions. You have to have that almost Guitar Hero like button memory configured in the old noggin. But the insect fight was a really cool surprise, and didn't notice it until I sort of looked around a bit, and fighting alongside with that wind sage guy is a pretty cool angle, but you've got to fight him straight after. Something else happened to me 40 or 50 hours into this game. It only happened the once, and it was a bit of a surprise, because it was one of those situations where I was convinced that if it didn't happen, it would have all gone my way. Probably not, but yeah, hard crash, hard freeze right in the middle of this fight, and I was not doing badly, so I was decidedly annoyed. I had to actually reset my machine and send that little attachment to the publisher. I bet they love looking at them. I have just covered Rage 2, and it is very refreshing playing that game as a shooter, open world, a little bit like Borderlands, and not having to worry about going to pick up that rare drop that guy may or may not kick out, or going through inventory and having to make decisions about stuff to get rid of. Appenfall's a bit guilty of that. It's just all stripped down for that Rage 2, and exactly the same thing with Black Myth Wukong. You are just concentrating on being a badass monkey god. Look at bro's health, look at the boss's health in the middle of the screen. It's immeasurable, and he put me into a near-death insta-kill move. Again, skin of my teeth. New Arctic biome, bro. That sounds like the name of Mark Zuckerberg's new bunker. Getting treated to this weather, all these cool snow effects. It moves away in the ground, just like we had with the sand in previous level. But it does this little, like, you can have a breather thing at the start of the new biomes, I'm pretty sure. And you can have a look around. There are some semi-tough bosses, but you just have that grip released and are able to just breathe a bit whilst you get your head round the new location.
康金荣，你法性已通，出来帮为师试试他的成色。
You are then introduced to some more damn weird in-game characters. Now, all of them interest me. The old turnip dude with the root head, he hasn't turned up for ages, but we've got a few new semi-villains. Like, I'm trying to remember of a Western game where I just gave a crap about the people within it. It might be like Fallout 4, maybe. It might be because I'm a bit older and none of this stuff really applies. Pretty convinced that Western video game character writing has got damned diabolical of late. As I've said before, I blame Tim Waltz. If you don't get the F out of the way of this dragon, it opens with a massive half health gone, huge cutscene move, fight technically over. So being on your toes for that one is very cool. It wasn't as hard as I imagined it to be. What with it being airborne and coming in from different angles, but the cinemacy, the cinematics, is cinemacy a word? I always try and imagine my viewer. I always try and sort of pictate that demographic so I can marry up what they're looking for in video games and what I like in video games. The truth is that's very difficult because I've got so many of them. But my point with this is a lot of people don't or can't play these, or aren't into these games rather, and watching all this cool stuff going on is probably just a cooler thing for them, and I completely empathize with that. I'm exactly the same with high level StarCraft. I have no idea what's going on half the time, but it just looks amazing. All those little things fighting each other, it's cinema for me, cinemacy. So I think you're either in two camps. You might be watching this thinking, dang Coop, you've got loads more to do in that, you need to sort your gameplay out, or you're here to see all the cool stuff going on, all the kung fu, all the amazing monsters, and that awesome camera, the way it completely operates within the boss fights to make you feel like you are right at the center of a colossal battle. Wukong's bosses, for me, against a lot of other third-person ARPGs, Souls-likes and Souls games, feel like they're completely devoid of rules. What I mean by that is you're not just fighting standard humanoid silhouettes. There's creatures, crazy monsters, flying stuff, colossal animals, and things that you just can't even identify. My passion for the game has only increased with getting this much further into it, and the same goes for Stellar Blade, the South Korean masterpiece that again probably had Sony help, and that was public, so I'll be looking forward to the Xbox outrage on that, and of course the beloved Armored Core 6. These three games, each from different eastern countries, are absolute diamonds. I was Couch Coop, I will see it down there. I think a car just drove past.
モッチポイントからの報告が多いかな。